So, good morning, everyone. Back to the morning live session after a bit of a break. I was traveling and I had a few different engagements the last week. It's good to be back into the flow. So, this morning's session is going to be on the intensity of availability. And I'll explain in a moment what that means. Let's take a moment to just get settled, just be quiet, just be present. So, the idea of availability is that all things are available, all things are frequencies which one can tune into, and all that's required is to open oneself up and make oneself available. One of the ways that I practice this is when I wake up in the morning, I like to say that, may I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. I am a clear channel of the highest blessings in the world. And that would be an example of availability. One is making oneself available for blessings. And not that one is generating the blessings, one is being a channel of blessings. It is said that the Buddha would wake up at about 2 o'clock in the morning and scan the world and check whom would he serve today. There's a nice phrase that he would spread his net of compassion and he would check, who can I serve today? Who can I be of benefit to today? And what a beautiful way of making himself available. So let's get started with the practice. You'll get a sense of it as we go along. So sitting comfortably. I'd like to invite you to open yourself up and the image that's coming is that of crumpled paper. You're uncrumpling the paper, you're opening up the paper, or a crumpled bed sheet. You're opening it up, flattening it out. In much the same way, you're opening yourself up. You're making yourself available. Available to what? In this moment, let's just make ourselves completely available to guidance and inspiration. Clear guidance and inspiration. This is really good because very often we start overthinking. When we're not sure what to do, we start overthinking, over analyzing. And in this moment, we're just opening ourselves up to guidance and inspiration. And just trust that it is here. And the very act of opening hidden potentials get activated. It helps in this practice to see our brain less as a hard disk, solid state drive, some kind of a storage mechanism, and more like an antenna, like a Wi-Fi antenna, receiving signals from the infinite. In other words, we're not limited to our own life experience. We can actually tune into anything. It's all available. But for that, we need to be available ourselves. In this moment, make yourself available to the presence of peace. Anyone at any time that's listening to this, be available to the presence of peace. Not the kind of peace that is generated, the kind of peace that's always here. Always here. Intensity of availability. The Buddha once said that the fastest way is infinite patience. What a paradox. If you want to get to your goal faster, get patient. If you want to take longer, get impatient. So in this moment, let's make ourselves available to the taste of infinite patience. What's that like? Making yourself available, not just mentally, also emotionally, also physically. You're opening yourself up, unfurling, willing to receive. In India, we have the tree, the mulberry tree. And mulberries are, in India, it's also called shatut. These are rather delicate fruit that once they touch the ground, the very impact touch the ground, they get damaged, they get dirty, hard to clean. So a lot of people in the right season, they will hang sheets of cloth below these trees, spread sheets of cloth a little above the ground. And then those sheets of cloth catch the mulberry that are falling. And that's another image that's coming for the intensity of availability, making yourself available. All these things are just here for the taking. All kinds of blessings are just here. We need to just open ourselves up and receive. Intensity of availability. It's kind of got two steps to it. Open yourself up. And invite. Tune into whatever it is that you'd like to receive. Let's get more specific this time. Let us be available to a highly inspiring and energizing purpose, area of focus for 2019. Inspiring, energizing, purpose, priority, and focus for 2019. And in this process, we don't try to think of what that purpose could be. Instead, we just open ourselves up and tune in to what does it feel like to have such an intense, inspiring, energizing priority. What would that feel like? What would that be like, taste like? So we're not looking for a mental answer, although that might also come. We're tuning into the frequency of it. And believe it or not, that act of being available and tuning in is the answer. Every other answer and clarity will come from this. Many years ago, I started a blog, and the very first article on that blog was what I call the two most powerful words which change everything. And I invited people in that short blog article to go to a quiet place, preferably in nature, preferably at night, preferably alone, and find a quiet patch of sky and to look up, either seated or lying down, just look up at the sky and have a sense of expansion and infinity, and just utter two words: use me. Use me. A declaration of availability to cosmic consciousness to be used in ways that are beyond our selfish motives, limited and conditioned understanding. So let's try that now. It doesn't matter if you're outdoors or not. Just open up to whatever you consider to be highest, truest, wisest, most pure and fundamental. In this moment, really open up. Allow yourself to be guided by that. Say to that from the heart, use me. Some of us already have this clarity, and we can renew it in this moment by being available, or by inviting the disillusion of obstacles to being used. All kinds of barriers we create, kinds of excuses we create. So in this moment, let's be available to that frequency that dissolves all possible obstacles to being an absolutely clear channel of blessings. What's it like to be available? Mentally, emotionally, physically, the solvent dissolver of obstacles is permeating, penetrating through. In this moment, can you be available to infinity? Infinity beyond your understanding of infinity. You know, when we're really present and we stop mentally labeling things, every experience is infinite. Every sound has infinite depth. Every touch, infinite texture. Every sight is infinity seeing itself. And I was in Delhi a few days back and I met this pair of teachers offering a workshop on money. And I asked them to share the essence of what they were sharing. And they said that it's a frequency. Money is a frequency. It's a vibration. It's an energy. And what is our relationship to this energy, this frequency? And they invited those who were with me, all of us, they invited us to imagine that you're sitting down and having a friendly cup of tea with the energy of money. And just trying to understand it, getting familiar with it, dropping judgments around it. They said that they meet many healers, very gifted healers, who are very available, very open to the frequencies of coherence which create healing mentally, emotionally, physically. These are very gifted healers. However, when it comes to money, they're not open, they're not available. They pinch it off. They're not willing to receive. There's the judgment there. I found that such a beautiful description. So, what is it like to be available to the frequency of money without judgment? It's not about becoming some millionaire or billionaire. It's about having a healthy relationship. Abundance is being able to do what we need to do for our own growth and expansion, the fulfillment of our priority, our purpose, our sharing of our gifts. And this process continues. What else do you want to be available to in this moment? You can either specify it. For example, you could be available to profound healing, or you could actually not specify it and be available to whatever's best, whatever's most needed at this time. In fact, that kind of availability would be a good definition of meditation. You're just open and available. And whatever needs to harmonize gets harmonized. Go ahead and continue your practice by either specifically invoking and being open, or being open and trusting. One of the ways that I summarize conscious living is to invoke an offer. Invoke an offer. To invoke is to be open and to be available and to invite. For example, if I'm going to give a talk, I can invoke blessings, I can invoke joy, I can invoke clarity, wisdom, appropriateness. Whatever happens from that moment onwards, to offer. So offer those thoughts, words, and actions back to the source from which they come. Of course, it is a slightly dualistic approach, invoking and offering. However, it is that which dissolves the duality as well. This invoking and offering, purifies the perception to the point where it becomes clear that we ourselves are that source. And we're offering everything for our own fulfillment and delight. In other words, the act of being available is the act of drawing forth, allowing to surface that which is already latent within us. It's not like some mysterious other power is beaming it down on us. It's already here. Discovering that all I need is within me now. All I seek is right here now. Continue this availability. The larger and more graceful what you want to invoke, what you want to invite, the more available you need to be. You see, the larger the aircraft, the broader and longer the runway needs to be. What is it you want to invoke? Be available. And a blessing is coming for everyone listening to this. May you always be available to freshness, to spontaneity, to clarity. May grace and ease and joy surround you, suffuse you. May you be available to the full juice of this adventure of life. May efforting and trying too hard and pushing and pulling just relax. May you blossom. In the way that you are meant to blossom. And may you know that everything is available, like in the palm of your hand. All you gotta do is tune in. All you gotta do is invoke, or even not invoke, and just trust. Continue your practice of availability for as long as is required. Lots of love. Be happy. Be happy.